Hello, it's another For Friday Q&A. But I'm going to start by asking you a question because I want your thoughts. Obviously, a situation is going to arise with these videos where I get asked the same question, one that I've answered already in a previous video. Should I just completely ignore those or answer them? I know sort of over the years I've answered very similar questions multiple times, but kind of reaches a point where maybe I just shan't answer them anymore. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Anyway, getting on to the questions for this week. Electric Adventures says, for Friday, which one of your computers and which one of your consoles holds the most nostalgic value to you and why? Yeah, that's pretty easy actually. Consoles, Atari 2600, because it wasn't the first console I ever got. That would have been a Binatone. Was it Binatone or Grandstand? It was a Binatone. It was a Mark 10, one of those orange ones with the little joystick. Pong machine. But the Atari 2600, a Vader, a black, where, there, that, one of them. That there. I got one of those for Christmas in 1983 and it was just, it was epic. I loved it. It just opened up a world of gaming for me that I hadn't experienced. You know, I'd played in arcades and I'd played on friends' computers and stuff like that, and I'd had a ZX81, I think. I struggle to remember which I had first. But yeah. For years I played that and it was my main gaming system. Very long time. Computer, Amiga. This one here, oh, I've got so much stuff on it. God, where's my camera going? That! There. Tower. God. 1260. I like to call it. There was no Amiga 1260, but it's got a 68060 processor in it on the 1200 motherboard, in a tower with a Zorro 2 bus board and a whole load of gubbins crammed in there. It's got quite a bit of oomph for a classic 68K series chip Amiga thing. Blah! Yeah, that. Anyway, it was just, Amigas were my main system of choice for a very long time, and that was my main computer for a long while. I guess that was my main computer from about 1994 until 2001. It was probably 93 actually. From about 93 to 2001, that was my main computer. And I did everything with it, including internet. I built my first website using that computer. And IRC and all sorts of stuff. Yeah. That's that one. Right. Ben S. Hi Steve, great channel. What are your thoughts on hacks and homebrew games? Would you ever play them for any retro console? If you could remake any retro console, what console would it be and what improvements would you make? Okay, hacks and homebrews. I'm largely not actually interested. I've played a few homebrew remakes of classic games. In fact, I played one last night. It was an Android app remake of Star Wars arcade game, you know, the Atari game that I recently played on my tablet, and it looked alright, it played alright, except it was touchscreen controlled and you moved the crosshair with your finger, and that was stupid because you couldn't see the TIE fighters because your finger was on top of them, and it played in a very wooden kind of manner. Some homebrews are very, very impressive, but largely I find you've got to wade through a massive mediocrity to find the real gems, and I haven't got time for that. There is too much other stuff. Hacks, largely not interested. I think the only one I've played two. I've played, there's a Sonic one where he gets fat when he eats stuff, and that amused me for about 30 seconds. And I have got Streets of Rage, the big gay edition or something like that, which is amusing, but you know, now largely I'm just not interested. There's too much commercial stuff that I've got, never mind want to buy, got, that I don't have time for. So I just don't have time for hacks and homebrews at all, because you've got to wade through so much to find anything that's worthwhile. Unless it's on Android. On Android, I will. I mean, most of it is indie, so that's kind of technically homebrew to a large degree. Yeah, if it's Android, I'll try anything, but on retro systems and stuff, nah. If you could remake any retro console, what console would it be, and what improvements would you make? Okay, years ago, I said I really wished they would make the Neo Geo. I have this on video. It's on the record somewhere on this channel. I made the video saying what they should really do is remake the Neo Geo. Make it small, compact, and run off of SD cards. And everyone said, that's a brilliant idea, someone should do it. And then, hey, guess what? We got the Neo Geo X. It's like they'd been listening to me. Unfortunately, they made it into a sack of shit. It's just ARM emulation, bad ARM emulation. You'd be better off running a Neo Geo emulator on a PSP. So, yeah. I still say I wish someone would make a Neo Geo console running on SD cards, but for God's sake, do it properly. Don't use some shitty emulator that does does the job in a half-assed manner. You know, do it properly. Failing that, Sega Saturn. I would like to see a modern remake of a Sega Saturn. Disk drive? Well, maybe not. You know. SD cards. They're ideal. They're the ideal format for retro remakes and stuff. Of course, you got the copyright issue. And are they going to make? Would they make a retro system that allows the use of SD cards and pirated ROMs? Well, AtGames certainly did, didn't they? With their Mega Drive handheld thing. Yeah. If not Neo Geo, then Sega Saturn. Moving on, John Semple for Friday, or whatever the next Q&A is, whenever. Yeah, it's Friday. Was there a retro gamer that got you into YouTube, or was it your own choice? And to add to that, yeah, I answered this yesterday actually, but I'll answer it now. It was Collie UK. He didn't get me into it. But he was the major inspiration for the way I do my channel. Yeah, Collie UK. Who is your favourite retro YouTuber other than yourself, as you don't count? I don't count! To add to that, is there a retro YouTuber you look at for inspiration? Okay, favourite retro YouTuber... That is such a dangerous question, isn't it? Because there are so many people who I really like their stuff and value their friendship, and so many people who could be like, oh, what? I'm not your favourite. Actually, so I'm just going to upset all of those, because my go-to channel, and most of you know this anyway, my go-to channel, the one I watch the most, almost religiously, though I'm not a religious person, this person doesn't even know I exist, because they're a big channel who doesn't really interact that much with the community, if at all, in fact, and that is Mark, Classic Game Room, Intercom Company, Lord Carnage. Yeah, I just love the way he does his videos. I love his sense of humour. I share his taste in games largely. If he says something is good, I know it's good. If he says something is crap, it's pretty likely I would agree with him if I tried it, but generally if he says it's crap, I ain't even going to try it. Because I can tell a like-minded person when it comes to gaming and taste in games. Yeah, and his sense of humour works for me, is brilliant. Even that coked up duck I find very amusing. A YouTuber that I look to or look at for inspiration. No. No, there isn't really. There are YouTubers who I will respond to more often than others. You know, if they do something, they ask a question, or they do a video that invites a response. Yeah, probably Lawn Boy's post. He poses some very interesting questions on a pretty regular basis, and I always check out what he's got to say on a given thing, and I've done that many video responses to stuff that he's done. I'm not an easy person to interest. You know, if you get my interest, you get my attention, you're doing well, and Lawn Boy does that on a pretty regular basis. So inspiration, no, but he does get my attention, and I respond to his videos more than most, I would say. Cardigan Gamer asks, what's your favourite Nine Inch Nails album, and do you like the Red Hot Chili Peppers? Okay. I don't have a single favourite Nine Inch Nails album. There are 4. It's a particular period that he went through, and it is Downward Spiral, Further Down the Spiral, The Fragile, and what was the remix album of that? Was it Things Fall Apart? Those 4. Love them. They are just so... everything on them is perfectly defined. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's trying to achieve with them. They fit. Everything about them is right. Other stuff before it and after it. Before it, it was all kind of... he hadn't quite got to where he was going yet. And after that, it is like... not quite. He has moments of genius, but an awful lot of shite with it. So, those 4. Do I like the Red Hot Chili Peppers? No, I don't. I haven't listened to an awful lot, but when I hear them, I'm like, first of all, who's that? And then when I'm told who it is, I'm like, don't like his voice, and stuff like that. They don't do it for me. Scribble Sam Animation. Do you think Nintendo should revive the Virtual Boy and give it some advanced features such as colour visuals and make it actually wearable on your head? Rename it the Virtual Boy 2 and make it compete with the Oculus Rift? Yes, I do. I really do. And I know I'm asked in a later question, what do I think is, you know, where does Nintendo's future lie, and blah blah, we'll get to that. But yeah, I think they have a brand with the Virtual Boy. Okay, it failed, and maybe resurrecting a failed brand isn't good marketing, but they have... maybe Gunpei took all the know-how with him to his grave, perhaps, but Nintendo are not afraid of taking risks. They're not afraid of experimenting with control systems and interfaces and stuff. I think it would be good for them to do that. It would be dangerous. They are on shaky ground at the moment, trying stuff that just didn't work out. But I would love to see them do that, and I think if anyone could do it, they could. So far, VR is a niche thing. Oculus Rift is always going to be niche. I don't think it's going to be mainstream. Sony, I think, will make a very cool piece of equipment that will bomb. Sadly, I think it will. Their Morpheus will bomb because it's a peripheral. It's an add-on for a console, and add-ons for consoles just don't sell. Sega proved that. Google might succeed with their cardboard, but it's always going to be a... I don't know if it's going to be as niche as Oculus Rift. It's going to be cheap, and it's going to be a... it might go somewhere, but it's not going to be corporate. It's going to be DIY. It's going to be on the cheap. It's going to be bitty, ill-defined, kind of sprawling. It will be a thing. It will be a hobby. It will be like computers were before ready-made computers, before the Apple II. You know, it will be a hobbyist's thing where you make your own, you get your own circuit board and you get your own keyboard and you get your own tape drive or whatever, and you do it yourself. And that is how I kind of see Google Cardboard and the family of stuff that's growing up around it, the ecosystem. It will be sprawling and hobbyist. Nintendo, I think, have the ability to make a VR toy and make it succeed on some level, but I don't think it would ever grow beyond a toy. Now Google could if they got their act together, or if Apple or Facebook got in on it. They have the ability to take it to an entirely different level. I don't know if they will. I kind of see it being that sprawling hobbyist thing, but it has the potential to go completely different and massive and mainstream. I would love that. Nintendo could make a very successful toy. I would like to see them do that. I think it would be great. I think they are running out of options. Handhelds. They're good at handhelds. They're very, very good at handhelds and have been for a long time. But mobile phones are kicking their ass. I hate mobile phones, gaming on mobile phones using touchscreens. And unless I'm playing Star Wars, tilt control. That kind of thing does not do it for me at all. But things like this mean that I don't even carry my PSP Go around with me anymore, because this is lighter and fits in my bag while my phone is in my pocket. I always have my phone with me. I don't go... The only time I don't have my phone with me is when I'm in bed or in the shower, and that's it. Otherwise it's with me. And if I'm out, this is always in my bag. So phones as a portable gaming thing now, I think they're not quite there, because not everyone carries a thing like that around, and so the games that most people will play will be limited. It's going to be your Flappy Birds and your Temple Runs and whatever. But they're rendering the dedicated handheld irrelevant gradually, which is really sad actually, because I very much favour dedicated gaming hardware. So and on home consoles, Nintendo are just... they're clueless. Sorry, but they are. The Wii, they were very, very clever in tapping into a part of the market that was untapped, but all they managed to do was sell a shitload of hardware, which is great for them. But software, people bought the Wii and then it became a really expensive bookend. The Wii U, well, we all know about that. Yes, it's a capable piece of hardware, but it's just not quite capable enough, and they haven't got the third-party support. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't care that there might be a handful of fantastic games on it. A handful isn't enough. If you're going to spend a few hundred quid, couple of £100 on a console, you need more than just a small handful of brilliant games. You need a big catalogue of games, because the other systems have that. So the Wii U, irrelevant. They need something else. Yeah, Virtual Boy 2, I think that would be... I'd like to see it. Would it succeed? I think they have the ability to make it succeed if they did it properly and allowed the person designing it the time to finish it, which they didn't allow poor old Gunpei, and then blamed him when it was shit. Stupid people. Moving on. The EPROM 9 asks, have you ever regretted shouting someone out, aka did they stab you in the back, falling out or something like that? Okay, this is a tricky question. I have only ever shouted out one person who I later came to... They didn't stab me in the back, they just... I found them to be a pain in the arse. I won't go into details, I'm not going to name anyone. There were other people who I mentioned, I didn't shout them out, but mentioned, who turned out to be absolute psychopaths and still make their presence felt from time to time. Just nuts. But you get that in all walks of life, and I'm pretty sure that most people who are on here will have come across the odd nut job from time to time. Yeah, but no names because they just don't deserve your attention. Outdaft UK. If you could design your own gaming hardware or computer, what would it be like? This is a question I ask myself too, and I've always wanted a system that will play any game ever made. Well, I guess it's kind of what I've been working on or tinkering with myself. VR headset. I don't care if the hardware is on the headset or some wearable or something in my pocket and it's just a display on the headset. But yeah, VR with augmented reality cameras, twin cameras. It would have to be quite powerful, but not so powerful that it couldn't run all day on batteries. It would need a 24-hour battery life, like a good mobile phone. And emulators and stuff on it would be cool. You know, if it could run PS2, cool. Generally, that kind of technology can't quite reach PS2. They're up to like N64 and PS1, and that's about your lot. Yeah, VR with augmented reality. That's what I would like. Home computers, PCs. They're powerful enough for me now. Anyway, I mean, okay, I can't game on mine, but PCs to me, they're just a tool. It's partly why I don't game, actually. I don't want to mix my gaming with my, what I would consider work, which is not really work. My PC is a tool, so I'm kind of not interested in modern computers. I have as much interest in a modern computer as I have in an electric drill. It's there to perform a task and nothing else. Where a console, something for gaming, I can get excited about and have some kind of, I wouldn't say emotional response, but you know, get a bit enthusiastic about. 16-bit Brit. Have you seen the documentary From Bedrooms to Billions? If so, what did you think? No, I haven't seen it. I've heard of it, but I haven't gone out of my way to see it. It's like, I don't know, what is it, a DVD or a Blu-ray or something you can watch online? I don't know. I'm guessing it's not free, even though it was crowdsourced. I think if they had people pay them to give them their money to make it free, perhaps it is. I don't know. But no, I haven't seen it. And partly, I have a slight lack of interest because I remember it all. I was there, if you like. I didn't know the individuals, but I was aware of what was going on and when. And I've read so much on the subject since then. Like, so I've read it from a historical perspective. It's kind of like seeing that, done that, blah blah. Don't want to sound like a know-it-all, but the bits I'm interested in, I know about. I suppose if it came on telly I would watch it, but I just don't care enough to seek it out. Maybe that's not the right attitude to have, but time is limited, and if I don't care enough, I just ain't gonna care enough. Mark the Morose. You've done many talkies and answered many 10-question tags, etc., but I don't recall if you've been asked this. What are your biggest gaming disappointments, be it a game unworthy of the hype, or a system that bombed, or even a whole generation of consoles? Okay, that's interesting. Generation of consoles, I'll tell you what, yes, the 8-bit consoles, the NES and the Master System, to me... you see, here's the thing. Gaming in the UK was different from gaming in the US. So you will get many people in the US saying, yes, the NES saved gaming. Well, maybe for you it did, but for us it was an irrelevance, unless you happen to be 8 years old in like 1987 or something like that. Unless you were a kid, it was an irrelevance. in the UK we had computers. There was a booming computer gaming market at that time. Cheap hardware, or relatively cheap, very cheap software, and then all of a sudden and of course the computers could do other stuff. I've made this argument many times. The computers could do other stuff. And then all of a sudden here's this console that's not massively expensive, but the games are 30 quid. And all it could do was game. You couldn't do anything else with it. And to me that was ridiculous. So like the NES came out, and then there's the Master System, which actually, did the Master System get out in the UK first? I don't know, I didn't really notice it. I didn't even notice the Master System until the Mega Drive was nearly out. But yes, that whole generation of consoles to me was irrelevant, pointless, big step backwards. To me, we had 8-bit computers, and the next logical step would have been 16-bit computers. Moved from the 8-bits to the Amiga and the ST. Consoles could just get stuffed. And then of course we've got the Mega Drive and stuff like that, and that stuff was interesting again. 16-bit consoles, cool, but the 8-bits, couldn't see the point. They actually annoyed me greatly at the time. Now, well, I've got a Master System and I've got a NES, and they've got some good games on them, absolutely. And the quality of the games is better, no doubt about it, than the quality of the games that were on the 8-bit computers. But I don't... At that time, back then, they were still... It was like, so what? Don't care. They weren't 30... The 30 quid when you could pick up a decent game on an 8-bit computer for a fiver, a console, was just insanity. Yeah, so that's that. Trying to see where I've lost the question. Biggest game that disappointed. Yes, absolutely, there is one, and it is, I've forgotten the bloody name. I can see it, Sackboy. What's the game called? Little Big Planet. I read the hype. I read the media stuff, and it's like, make your own game. And it sounded fantastic. If you're a creative person, you'll love this game. I'm a very creative person, and I didn't love it. I found the learning curve was steep. You had to learn so many different things. And I just couldn't retain them. If I could play the game and learn it and spend a couple of days learning it, but if I left it for a week and came back, I'd forgotten it all and I'd got to learn it all over again, and that for me ruined it. And maybe that's just I mean, I have memory issues. I have limited working memory, and I have limited my short-term memory is pretty crap actually. So learning little things like that, it's like, no, a couple of days later and it's all gone. So yeah, I had really looked forward to it. I thought, I'm going to build whole massive game worlds, something, you know, with my own physics and stuff, and it's going to be fantastic. And then it just wasn't, and I felt very disappointed. There you go. Not necessarily the fault of the game, or maybe it was. I don't know. Did it need to be quite so fiddly? I mean, the presentation and the production values were fantastic. It was very charming. But I was disappointed. V Westlife. Do you think Nintendo can recover from the Wii U being a failure, or will they end up like Sega and have tablets and smartphones rendered tablets and smartphones rendered consoles obsolete in terms of the casual pick up and play games that made the original Wii a success? Yes and no. Okay, yes, as I said just a minute ago, I think that smartphones and tablets have rendered portables irrelevant. Home consoles, not quite. They're hanging in there. I do think that the PS4 and Xbone they ain't what we need right now. We need something different. And this is where I think Nintendo have an opportunity. They need to stop playing Me Too with the consoles, with the home consoles against Sony and Microsoft. Stop trying to compete on the same terms, on the same ground, because they're failing as well. Failing is too strong a word, but they've run out of ideas. They're just doing the same thing, just a little bit more, and that ain't gonna cut it. And the whole convergence with the PC world is aggravating plenty of people, not least me. Yeah, I think Nintendo have an opportunity here, and as I said in my answer to a previous question, VR, Virtual Boy 2, something like that, it's an opportunity. They need to do something different. They are the best people in the console gaming world to do something different. So VR, try it, or you are going to fizzle out and go the way of Sega. They've tried 3D on the 3DS and had quite a good bit of success. They know about 3D. But head-mounted, give it a go. The Kiranator. What is your favourite retro movie and why? I don't know what you mean by retro movie. What qualifies a game as retro? What media format do you prefer to collect? This can be movies, music, video games. Okay, I'll answer that bit first because it's easy. Movies I collect on DVD and Blu-ray. I prefer Blu-ray because they look better, but I'll still buy DVDs. I have most movies on VHS. I don't collect VHS, I just have all the ones that I bought when VHS was the only thing you could buy them on. I don't play them very often. I really need to spend the time to rip them all onto either MP4s or DVDs, but I ain't really got the time. And even if I had the time to rip them, I ain't got the time to watch them, and that's really quite frustrating. Music, CD. I will buy music on CD and then rip it and listen to it on MP3, and don't give me any of that crap about that's a shitty format, use something else. I don't care. It's good enough for my ears. I don't care about all of this lossless stuff that takes up massive amounts of space. It's going on my mobile phone and space is limited, so shut up. Wow, that was hostile. Video games, cartridge. I love cartridges. Yeah. That would always be my favourite thing. Favourite retro movie. I'm going to guess you just mean like old movie. I don't know how old, but I mean my answer is simple because it's my favourite movie anyway, full stop, and that's Blade Runner. Why? Because it's Blade Runner. Anyone who loves Blade Runner understands. It is that combination of the sci-fi isn't even it. It's the emotion or the lack of emotion. It's the alienation, the desperation, the whole. That film hurts, and there are parts of it that I just think, I know just how he feels. Wow, that sounds morbid and miserable, doesn't it? No, I'm not depressed. Yeah, there's a dark side of me that you never see. Thomas Sue, 63. Halloween is coming up. What is Halloween to you? Do you have a favourite movie you like to watch at Halloween? Halloween to me is absolutely irrelevant. It's not a big deal in the UK generally anyway, but to me Halloween is a pain in the arse. It is small kids in costume, crappy costume. Actually, I don't mind if they're the cute kids who put in the time and effort and got impressive costumes, and I'll give them sweets. That sounds wrong. No, come on. In the spirit of Halloween, we get like Haribo and whatever, and give them Haribo or something. But it's when you get the 14-year-old boys who haven't even bothered to make a costume and they're just knocking on your door saying trick or treat, and you're like, what? Why? You've made no effort. Piss off. And then they throw eggs at your window. Because they're all about the trick rather than anything else. With them it's blackmail. It's like, give us sweets or we're going to throw eggs at your house. They can fuck off. Yeah, Halloween to me is a pain in the arse. Films? No, not really. I once saw something Halloween related that I actually really enjoyed, and that was an episode of Buffy. That's a program I don't give a crap about anymore. But back then, when it was still a thing, when it was new, when it was still progressing, there was a Halloween episode, and Spike saw all of the Halloween-y type people gone mental or crazy or going on a killing spree, and he just looked at it and said, cool. And I loved that episode. Yeah. But as a thing, Halloween to me is a nonsense and a pain in the arse. And we have this thing around here that come up just before Halloween called Mischief Night, something like that. I had never heard of it when I lived down south, but I heard of it when I came up here, and it's just like this one night where the kids go mental, and it's kind of like systematic vandalism or something. I don't understand. It just comes up just before Halloween. Weird. Or was it just before Bonfire? Was it the 1st of November actually? Is it just after Halloween? Can't remember. Summer. Andy Hewitt. What were your earliest memories, be it arcade, console or computer, that sparked your interest in gaming or technology? You see, this is one of the questions where I asked the initial question right at the beginning of the video. What do I do when I'm asked a question I've been asked countless times before? I will answer it this time. Whether I answer other questions like this later on will possibly depend on how people answer my question. Yeah. I started gaming in about 1972, which made me 4 years old, and there were no video games in the UK at that time. Pong had just been invented, but it wasn't over here yet. I started gaming on electromechanical games, things like Sega's Missile. There's a video of it on YouTube somewhere, and there was like a driving game where the road was on a belt or something, and you had a mechanical car that you move left and right, and he tried to avoid other cars that I think were just painted onto the road. It was pretty bad. There were things like that. There's some shark game that appears in Jaws. It's not in Jaws. It appears in Dawn of the Dead, the remake, I think. Is it in the remake or is it in the original? Can't remember. But yeah. And there was a Seawolf game as well. It's submarines, and you're in a submarine and firing torpedoes at the boats on the rolling waves on the surface. And I played these, and I loved them. They were fantastic. And they were I played these in 3 places that I remember. One was the Working Men's Club in New Bradwell. One was at the Isle of Wight. They had amusements arcades. And fairgrounds. When the fair came to town, they had arcades, and they sometimes had things like that. I mean, mostly it was one-armed bandits, and they were the red one-armed bandit, slot at the top, put your 2p in, pull the lever, 3 drums go round, and you got lemons. Yeah. And that's how I got into it. I was just, the moment I saw anything that resembled a game, you know, there was a challenge and you had some form of control over it, I was like, I want some of that. And that's where it started for me, and it moved into video games. Pong came out, I was gobsmacked, because to me TV was a passive thing. You looked at the screen and just watched what they gave you. And then here was this screen where I could control something on it. And I was amazed. I mean, I probably would have been amazed even if it wasn't a game, if I just had the bat and nothing else happened and I could make the bat go up and down. I would have been gobsmacked. I was 6, what do you want? Yeah, I think I first played Pong in about 1974, somewhere around that kind of time. But I was hooked straight away. Anything came out like that, I had to play it. Retro Gamer Guardian 90. What is your opinion on Outrun and Outrun 2? Okay, I'm something of a heathen. I recognise Outrun's place as a classic and maybe even groundbreaking game in gaming history, as a racing game with that scaling technology and the speed of it and the hills and all of that, it was technically massively impressive. I don't actually play it that much. I'm not a fan. It's a good game, but there's something about it I find frustrating. There are bits of the track that are too narrow, and there's too much traffic, and it's just too easy to fail. It's too easy to not get through, and if you have one accident, forget it. To me, it's just a little bit too tough. I'm crap. I'm crap at it. So maybe it's just that I'm just not good enough. But it's one of those where when I found it in the arcades when it was new, I think I played it twice, and that was it. Because when I was going to put my money into a game, I wanted at least half a chance to have a decent length game. I wanted a few minutes, not a few seconds. And I just didn't get enough game for my money out of that particular game. Outrun 2 is fun, but it's in modern kind of racing games, it's not my kind of racing. I like more of a simulation, so it's one of those. I'll play it. I mean, I've got Outrun 2 on the original Xbox. I've got Outrun Coast to Coast on the PSP, and I've got Outrun Online Arcade, which is just Coast to Coast but online, on my PS3, and it's fun, but it's shallow. So I'll play it a couple of times for 10, 15 minutes, and then I'm done. It's not a game I'll sit and play for hours, because it's just, there's not enough to it. Yeah, okay, moving on. Oh, okay, 911 Gamer. Any chance you can show off your Atari Lynx collection? Just the carts. I know how difficult it is to film that monster screen. Thanks, mate. Yeah, I can show you. Hang on a mo. Okay, right. I do have the boxes for most of these, but I don't store them in the boxes because they take up a lot of space. So the boxes are in the loft. Ooh, silica gel, yay. I keep these in, I've got a little set of drawers. Saw this one most recently. Zybots, love that. Brilliant game. Stun Runner. Checkered Flag. Brilliant racing game. I love that. It's one of my favourite Lynx games. Warbirds, love that as well. It just reminds me of Knights of the Sky. California Games. I've got to be honest, I'm not really interested in that. It's not my kind of game on any system. It's probably a good version of the game. I don't like that kind of game all that much. Steel Talons. Yeah, 3D polygon helicopter thing. Interesting. I find it just... The Lynx can do 3D, it's just not great at it, so that's a bit slow and plodding. And then, yeah, hard driving. I love hard driving, but this is not a good version. The frame rate is just diabolical. Shame. Blue Lightning. That's a fun game. That's like the Atari Lynx take on Afterburner a bit. It's not bad. It's not a fantastic game, but it's not bad. Awesome Golf. I like golf. Is this awesome? Do you know what? I actually can't remember. So probably not. Have I even done a video of that? I should check. Robotron 2084, is it? Yeah, something like that. Well, Robotron is a fantastic game, but the Lynx version has the problem you get on a lot of consoles that don't have twin sticks. It doesn't have twin sticks, so control is awkward. Batman Returns. Honestly, I don't remember. couldn't tell you. Is that any good? No idea. Ninja Gaiden. Only thing I remember about this is I died a lot very quickly. It's rock hard, brutally hard. So not the kind of game I spent an awful lot of time on, because I get my ass kicked. and that is my Atari Lynx collection. It's small, should I say perfectly formed, whatever. You know, it's pretty good. There's some good games in there. There's some that are very good and some that are not. That's gaming. Okay, what do we got next? Mr. Buck 295. What is your favourite retro console, and what game on that console is your favourite? I think I kind of covered. Well, I didn't cover this, did I? Define retro, because yes, the answer question I answered was what system do I have the most nostalgia for? Does that make it my favourite? No, actually. Do you know I don't know how to answer this. I really don't. I mean, if it was the whole your place has burned down, what system would you take with you? It was the PS2. If it's which has the most nostalgia, it's the Vader 2600. And then, which over the years have I had the most fun with? Mega Drive, Amiga, PS1, PS. No, I can't. I can't answer. I just can't. It's not possible. There are too many that are brilliant. So it has to be more specific than that. It's too general a question for me to be able to answer. If it's like specific as in nostalgia or which would I rescue in a fire, I can answer those, but favourite I cannot answer if I'm honest about it. And my views change all the time. I mean, if you'd have asked me that not so long ago, I would have said Amiga, though it's not a console. And then there'd be times I'd say Vectrex, and there'd be times I'd say Virtual Boy. Now, I have no idea. I mean, I guess a lot of it depends on what I'm playing at the time. And I've not spent much. I mean, the only retro thing I've got plugged in at the moment is my PS1. But I think a thing that I felt the most, wow, this is really something special, actually, was like Mega Drive with, say, Mega CD and 32X all plugged in, and playing a combination of, and of course with an EverDrive as well. If you've got a Mega Drive, Mega CD, Mega 32X and an EverDrive, that's 4 consoles in one there. Yeah, the possibilities are endless, because you can do Master System on there as well. Yeah, I'll say that. Not easy, but that. Roffler 950. Do you think an open world Gran Turismo game could work? Would you play it? Do I think it could work? No. Would I play it? Yes. No, Gran Turismo is all about circuits, so by definition it's not open world. You do have the online play. I actually don't play Gran Turismo online. I'd get booted off because I play badly. Despite what you have seen, I can play well, but I am inclined to shunt into people if they get in my way. But I don't do that. I mean, open world Gran Turismo just sounds like Test Drive Unlimited. The first one was great, the second one was shite. So, no. It wouldn't work. I probably would play it. I would get kicked off. It would depend. Martin Sutcliffe. What's your opinion of the consoles derived from home computers such as the GX4000, C64 GS, Atari XEGS and CD32 or CD-TV? That's a really interesting question. With all of them, I think, except for the CD-TV, they were all too little too late. CD-TV was kind of actually ahead of its time The world wasn't ready for that. Granted that the CD technology was all right, it was not fast enough, but the gaming hardware built into it was dated by then. But that wasn't even the problem. The problem was it was marketed wrong. So the world didn't know what it was and promptly ignored it. All of the other stuff, if they had been released at the time that the computers they were based on were released, they would have done very well. If they were significantly cheaper than the computers and had the software backup, if they had a decent set of software. The GX4000 is not a bad piece of hardware. I've heard questionable reliability, but in terms of what it could do, if that was released at the same time as the CPC 464 and had a decent software library, it would have been fine. And the same with this. Well, no, the C64 GS was just stupid because software for it had to be rewritten to take account of the fact that it didn't have a lot of the controls and buttons necessary, like the start button, for God's sake. Stupid. CD32, fantastic. Needed to be out at least 1 year earlier than it was, and I think it could have done very well. Hardware wise, I mean, it was never going to compete with the PS1, but that wasn't the intention. That was meant to compete with the Mega Drive. To my mind, that was the level it was playing at. It could have competed very well with the Mega Drive at the time that the Mega Drive was the main thing. That's what they should have done, and they didn't. They were too late. The PS1 was on the way, and the CD2 was instantly irrelevant. The only system there that I think, yeah, that was actually good, is the Atari XEGS. It still had the problem of being too late. It was too late. It was much too late. They should have released a system that worked like that. It should have been the Atari 400 and 800. That's what the hardware is, basically. It's got more memory and a slightly improved ROM. Some slightly different graphical modes, whatever, but basically the technology in that is an Atari 400, 800. And that's what Atari should have done in the beginning. Release a console that's also a computer. You can choose. You can buy it just as a console, and if later on you decide you want to use it as a computer as well, buy a tape deck and a keyboard and whatever else. Brilliant piece of hardware. Too late. Much too late. The 16-bit stuff was on the way, and everyone knew it. No one bought it, and hey presto, it's quite rare and collectible now. Not very rare, but you know. Excuse me a moment, I've got to go and deal with a barking dog. Sorry about that. But yes, so I suppose to close on that, I like them. I find them all very, very interesting. They don't do anything any better than the computers they're based on. Actually, I mean, the CD32 kind of does. It has a level of convenience that you don't get with the Amiga 1200. Big compilation CDs, brilliant. No messing around with floppy disks. So I really like that. It's actually, of the ones I've got, it's probably the only one I use because of that convenience. Yeah. But I find them all interesting and certainly very collectible because they all bombed largely. Final question. Case of glass. Have you thought of re-uploading your old videos for newer subscribers? Probably pointless to do so, but I think it would be interesting. Yes, because I took down quite a few videos about a year ago. I took down 300 videos because YouTube were going content ID crazy. And being partnered with YouTube and whatnot. Anything that did not have the green light that they hadn't okayed for having ads on it, I got rid of it. I deleted everything. You know, it didn't necessarily even have content ID, but if they were being remotely awkward about it, I didn't want to take any chances, because when you got that many videos, the risk, I mean, with the whole Sega debacle, where they had videos taken down and then channels shut down, you know, overnight, all that crap was going on, and I was like, okay, anything that's not absolutely 100% okay, I'm taking down. So I have about 300 videos. Some of them are very early, some I took down because they just had no commentary, or very little. I am pondering putting them back up. I may, because YouTube seems to have got their act together with Content ID, and it is now more automated. There was a period when they had just started giving everyone the ability to put up ads. There was a period where it was like you had to wait ages for someone to look at it, and one day a video would be given ads and another day it wouldn't, and for stupid reasons that made no sense whatsoever. And so I took them down, and I reckon if I put them back up now, they'd be just fine. So maybe I will. I mean, it's a lot of videos, and some of them actually were very, very popular. My Barbie and the 12 Dancing Princesses, or whatever it was called, that was my most popular video. I had 70,000 views on that, and while I had no ads on it, it pulled in viewers. It was, you know, it was a shame to take it down, really, and maybe it was a mistake, but at that time I feared being shut down. So, yes, I have thought about it. Maybe I will do it. I'll probably try it and see what happens. Could be interesting. Finding out, I mean, all of my videos are all on, I've got a 750 gig external hard drive that's just chock full of videos, and I haven't separated out the ones that are uploaded from the ones that aren't, so it'll be interesting finding out which ones need uploading. That'll take a while. I've got 1,400 and something videos on my channel. There are some that are there that you can't even see because they're set to private. I've got about 35, 40 private videos that you can't see. Music ones. Why are they private? Copyright trolls. I might do it. I'll give it a go and see what happens. Okay, that is all the questions and all of my answers. I hope I've managed to fit it all. I mean, I'm kind of going quickly here, but trying to maintain a level of detail as well that to make the answers worthwhile. So, as before, if you've got a question, just leave a comment. I would ask that if you're going to leave comments for Friday, leave them from this point, like this video and any that follow, and don't go and leave them on videos from last week or the week before or 3 years ago, because chances are I ain't going to see it. Or it's just like I'll see it and then think I'll come back to that, and then I can't find it. So yes, from this video through to next Friday, questions. Just start your question with "for Friday" so that I will know it is for this kind of video and not just something for me to answer in comments. Alright, that'll do. Thank you for watching.
If you enjoyed this video, please consider clicking the thumbs up button. I upload videos daily, so go ahead and hit subscribe if you'd like to see more. To all those who've already subscribed, I'd just like to say a great big thank you.